we're about noticing appreciation and gratitude for the body where we live. Now, if I've learned anything from my own experience and from working with others, I know that's not so easy. So we're in the territory really of self-compassion, which many of us balk at. I'm grandy. I don't need that self-care, namby-pamby stuff. Go away from me. Okay. Well, let me share this story or this exercise. I want you to imagine that a close friend, now let's say not a family member, but another close friend or a colleague, comes to you in a spot of bother. Look, they've made a boo-boo, or they're feeling a failure, or they've let somebody down, and they're really feeling bad about themselves. And this person comes to you to offload, to share, to feel safe. I want you, if you can, to think of a real person and perhaps a real situation. And then I want you to imagine, how would you be with that friend? What are you likely to say to that friend? What kind of tone of voice would you use with that friend? What kind of gestures or, would you touch them in some way? What would you intend in terms of touch or presence? So seeing if you can picture that, your friend in a spot of bother, coming to you because he or she is in a spot of bother, and offloading. And then your response. What words would you use? What kind of tone would you speak in? How would you be with them? What gestures might you use? I suppose, what would you wish to convey to this friend in trouble? So now or later, seeing if you can conjure up some of that. And then I want you to imagine the second scene in this play. I want you to think of a time, a real time if you can, when you've made a boo-boo. You've made a mistake, you've done something stupid, you've failed at something, you feel you've let yourself down. So when you've thought of this episode or this situation in your life, I want you to, as best you can, begin to notice, what would you say to yourself? What have you said to yourself? What kind of words or phrases might you use when you yourself have made the boo-boo, have failed, have let people down? What tone of voice might you use? What kind of presence or gestures might you use for yourself? So now or later, I'd love you to get a little bit detailed about that. And then the third act of our play is, noticing if there are any differences to how I would be with my friend who comes to me in trouble, and my response, to how I speak to myself when I'm in a spot of bother. I'd love you to notice if there are any differences and what they are. And usually, an exercise or a practice like that is the beginning place of us building our muscle of self compassion. It is not automatic that I will be as kind to myself as I will be to another. In fact, it's definitely not automatic. And the beginning place of building that muscle of self compassion is to notice the difference. Maybe notice that harsh inner critic and begin to dial her down as I learn to be as kind to myself as I more naturally am to another.